Speedrunning has become a very prominent feature in the Minecraft community as of recent years, with the likes of Feinberg, Corryway, and many others constantly battling it out to get the fastest time. This being on plain old speedrun.com or even in the newly formed speedrunning tournaments. And with channels like The Weekly Thing getting hundreds of thousands of views a video documenting speedrunning, it also proves just how much it has grown over recent years. But in the depths of all this Minecraft Java speedrun madness, deep down on speedrun.com, there's a Bedrock server called the Hive, which averages about 14,000 players during peak hours. And today we'll be looking at some of the rarest speedruns that I could find achieved on this Minecraft server. Interested? Let's get started. Before we begin, I feel it's only fair we shed some light on the honourable mentions, ones in which I felt were still quite rare but just weren't rare enough or I just don't feel deserved to make the top 3. Also, I'm currently averaging about 10 viewers a stream over on Twitch, and I need 75 in order to get Twitch partner and win a wager before October, in which you right now could help me achieve. So if you like my YouTube content, you might just enjoy my Twitch streams too. As for the honourable mentions, I have 2 different categories here in which I'm going to summarise the runs into. These won't be in order of rarity unlike the top 3, as they are only ones that I thought still deserve to be mentioned. The first set of runs I'm going to mention are ones in which no one has achieved, and I know due to this you could just turn around and say, oh, but Orbits, because no one's gotten it, that means these are the rarest, which isn't really the case, because since no one has achieved it, it makes it easy-ish to beat, bar an exception which I'll get into. The runs in question which no one has set a time for are as follows: Skywars Mega, perfect percent; Skywars Kit Solo, perfect percent; Treasure Wars Duos, perfect percent; and Survival Games Solo and Duos, perfect percent. Why this is so intriguing to me is due to the fact that it is only these 5 categories that don't have a run to their name. Skywars Solo has a perfect percent run, however Kits doesn't. Treasure Wars Mega, which I admit is quite easy to get, has a perfect percent run, but Skywars Mega doesn't. However, the run I really want to look at, and it goes back to the exception which I said I'd get into, is the Survival Games Solo and Duos perfect percent. These have to be within the top 5 rarest speedruns achievable on the Hive, and you could even argue they're top 3, but save that assumption until you see the top 3 I'm going to mention, as well as hearing what I'm about to say. One of the only reasons I chose not to rank those within the top 3 is because the Survival Games one, for example, are near impossible. In the rules it states that for the run to be valid, only 12 players can be missing out of a total 24 in solos and 11 out of 24 in duos. That means for a solo run to be valid, you need to kill every enemy in a minimum 12 player game, that including yourself, which is exact like the Skywars Solo perfect percent, which we'll get into soon. However, a much larger map, longer game, you get the idea. That meaning people can't die by themselves, can't leave after it gets to the minimum, and can't be killed by another player, therefore leaning it more on the virtually impossible side rather than a rare side, if that makes sense. The second set of runs I want to mention are those in which only one person has achieved. Once again, like the previous set, you could say how since only one person has achieved it, it makes it the rarest. However, due to the times of the run being quite slow, it means that if anyone else was to achieve the same thing, they could end up setting the new world record. The runs in question, however, are as follows: Skywars Solo perfect percent set by Duff and Rex at a time of 3 minutes and 16 seconds, and Treasure Wars Solo perfect percent set by Crispy at a time of 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Comparing that to my top 3 rarest runs, you'll start to understand why these times didn't make the top 3. As rare and as cool as they are, especially that Skywars one, to get every kill in a Skywars game, the chances are so low. However, the time just didn't feel fast enough. The reasons I wanted to mention these are because, like how no one has achieved a Survival Games perfect percent, to get a perfect game killing everyone in the game is such a hard thing to achieve. Therefore, I felt deserved to be mentioned. Now that we've talked about the 2 sets of runs I felt deserved to be mentioned, it's time to get into what I feel are the 3 rarest speedruns on the Hive network. These will be ordered in third, which I feel is the least rarest run, and the first being the rarest. The third rarest speedrun which I feel has been set on the Hive is the Skywars Solo speedrun of 56 seconds set by Corruption. The reason I believe this makes the top 3 is due to the amount of people who have actively attempted to beat this. At the time of recording this, there are 257 people who have submitted a Skywars Solo speedrun, and as you can see by the image on the screen now, this is the only run out of the lot under 1 minute. We went through a period of time last year where people were actively looking to take that Skywars Solo any percent world record run, and up until 2 months ago, Decoys held it for an entire 6 months, until Corruption swooped in and did it in 4 seconds less than a minute, therefore setting its place in my top 3. The second rarest speedrun which I feel has been set on the Hive is the Skywars All Spells You speedrun of 9 seconds, once again set by corruption. The reason this sets itself in second is due to the sheer luck of the run taking place. Every speedrun has its elements of luck, however this one is quite different. You need to get all 3 spell books in order to get this, so to spawn on an island with 3 lapis and each lapis drop a different book for him to use and beat the record must be won in a very large amount. Watching the clip back, he did fold a little bit and this could have been done a lot faster, however he still set the record in under 10 seconds, beating Shadow OC's record by an entire 1 second which they held for over a year. But now for the top spot. If you thought that last run was lucky, just wait until you see what I've chosen to deem the rarest speedrun on the Hive. The rarest speedrun which I feel has been set on the Hive is the Murder Mystery Sheriff Run speedrun of 267 milliseconds set by Hudson Dog. Hudson is also an Insane Orbits YouTube channel member and a Twitch subscriber, so this really does say a lot about society, doesn't it? The reason this takes the number 1 spot is once again due to the absolute luck that is needed for this to happen. This isn't a speedrun which required any skill other than shooting your bow quickly, but instead is due to many luck factors. The likelihood of getting Sheriff in the first place takes ages to get, sometimes 9 to 10 games to get that role. To then go into a game and shoot your bow that quickly at the murderer, out of all the possible 14 other players who could have got that role in the game, is absolutely mental. Murder Mystery is a long and draining game, so I'm unaware if they were actively hunting for this or if they just said screw it and then beat the record, but either way, this run is still crazy. It seems as if last month Corruption decided he wanted every speedrun record as he got a time on this run of 400 milliseconds, cementing himself in second. However, sadly it wasn't fast enough to beat Hudson's time. So a big well done Hudson, especially on stopping this video being only about Corruption's achievements. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to know what Hive rank is the rarest, then be sure to click the video on the screen right now.